On today's episode of Behind the Bite, I'm joined by Brandan James. Welcome, Brandan. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. First of all, are you okay to start off by telling, obviously I know who you are, but tell everyone who you are and what it is you do?
Yeah, I'm Brandan James. I run the North American sales for Carbon3d, which they are the premier printing company for dentistry and other applications as well.
Excellent. And how long have you been at Carbon for now?
So total about 6 years. I did take a different position for a year and actually worked in a lab. And then I actually came back to my old position that I left and been promoted. So just love the company, love what they do. And I was nice that they could get me back.
Yeah, no, you must have done something right for them to have you back.
Yeah.
In terms of Carbon, though, can you tell us a little bit about who they are? Obviously, they're a huge name within the industry. You think of 3D printing, you think of Carbon as one of the main players in that sector. Who are they? What is their primarily focus?
We're really trying to help bring 3D printing into the manufacturing space
Yeah.
with high throughput applications. And how we're doing that is trying to see what our customers want and what do they need and bring quality products, whether that's resin, software, or hardware, to the market. We always say we might not be the first to market with a product, but when we do come to market, it will be the best. And I think you've seen that time and time again with whatever we've introduced.
Yeah. And what is your role in particular within the team at Carbon?
Carbon's funny. It's not like a large corporation, dental, medical, or whatever, even though we serve a lot of those, a lot of large companies in those sectors. Carbon is a startup. We like being a little bit more boots on the ground, a little bit more feisty. We don't have the biggest team in the world, but what we do is we have quality people that want to do whatever it takes to get the business done. So I say that holistically, just to give you a little breakdown of what Carbon is. It's not, hierarchy is there, but so bring that back. I run the sales team for the North American and actually even some strategic accounts over in Europe as well.
Okay.
I'm involved with trying to start dental applications in Asia as well. Even though my title is North American sales, I actually do a multitude of things just to continue to grow the brand. And that's really
of course. How do you find working with, say, the North American market to then being involved in the European market and the Asian market? Obviously, the cultures are very different. I know from recruiting in there that you look for different kind of people in those roles. So how have you found the challenges with that?
To be honest with you, I'm still learning these markets. I think, North America is ever changing. We'll get into that a little bit with private equity and consolidation. You're seeing that over in Europe as well. And they do business differently, Tom. I mean, you're over there, so it's a much more methodical approach.
Definitely.
They love their holidays, right? And so when you're trying to get into a market, try to get a deal done, it's completely different than how you would work something in North America.
You often find that it's a much slower pace than the American market. I find, particularly when working with companies throughout dental, that in Europe, it can be, like you say, a little bit longer, a lot more methodical. So can be a certain challenge in that aspect.
It's absolutely challenging. I mean, I can give you a current situation where we've been waiting for a red line for a legal document for about 3 weeks. And every day or every other day we check in, it's like, it should be in your inbox tomorrow, right? It's so, and you don't want to push or be needy or, over push, right? The customer, because they have their internal processes.
Yeah.
But when you've got North American expectations and guidelines, right? It's like, I call it being politely pushy. How do you push them to, to get it that extra day or that extra week? So I say methodical because I don't like to upset my customers and friends over there. You said slow, not me, but yeah, so it can be very challenging. And in the Asian Pacific market, it's completely different. And I am just got introduced to that as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? How everything differs just based on country and culture.
Yeah. I mean, and markets change. Even in Canada versus North America, right? What's going on up there? I just went around to a lot of our Canadian customers, and they seem to be doing a little bit better than our North American customers as well, right?
Yeah.
So even in that different scenario, it's completely different, right? In how you approach things.
Yeah, no, certainly. And in terms of carbon, obviously, how's this year started for you? I know within the industry, there's been probably a tough time overall. You've seen ups and downs. How's it been for carbon?
This year has been great, to be honest with you. We're over goal for H1, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The competition is fierce, and that is always challenging in 3D printing, much like, other spaces right now where, people have companies say, oh, hey, we're just as good as carbon, but cheaper, right? We hear that all
Yeah.
the time. Or, hey, 99% uptime, it does, cost, is it really worth the additional
Hmm.
money? They really do a very good job on changing the
Yeah.
conversation to come in and revisit. But this year has been very good for us.
Yeah. And I think that's good to hear. And I think, like I said, it's probably been up and down over the last couple of years across the whole industry. You've seen it be a little bit difficult. This year, there seems to be a lot more optimism. Now we're halfway through the year. It seems to be a lot more positive, I would say, from what I hear. So it's good to hear that you guys are doing well. But how has the years previously been at Carbon? Because I know it's probably been, like I say, a bit of a struggle.
We've always had double-digit growth, but we are a private company and we have a
Yeah.
board and you have to hit certain forecasts. So we've been close a multitude of times and even hit. Last
Hmm.
year was no different versus other people where, we had to be a little bit more efficient in our teams
Yeah.
and what we're going after and strategy and how we were doing that. And that's transitioned into this year, why we're
Yeah.
being successful. But there's, Tom, it just as well as anybody who's listening, it's been a very up and down past couple of years, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Ever since
Yeah. No.
ever since COVID, and we saw this huge growth, right? This whole lag of, patients needing care. And then
Hmm.
after that, basically backlog of people have been through the chair.
Yeah.
It's just been a very up and down what's going on, trying to get some consistency in the market. And that's been a challenge, to be honest with you, for everybody.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. In terms of Carbon, then, is there anything exciting for this year? Any new announcements that you can talk about yet?
So we launched a couple products in Lab Day with the Vapor Spinner. I think that's going to be a huge game changer for the post-processing aspect of 3D printing. A lot of companies have tried to make the post-processing more bearable, I would say. It's probably the dirtiest part of 3D printing. So we came out with a machine that will spin dry our product as well as reclaim IPA and resin. And so that's coming out. We're just finishing the final tweaks on that, getting
Hmm.
resin validated. It's in 3D printing. It's not making the product, but also validating resins, right?
Yeah.
Third party or our own. So that takes time, right? And then we will be shortly coming out with our own denture base.
Okay.
So that's something that is going to be very exciting. You should hear an announcement here relatively soon. And then
Excellent.
something that we came out with our dual cure flexible material last year,
Yeah.
in three different shades, and the market needed something that was more of a opaque pink, not as a translucent pink for the anterior
Hmm.
cases. And so that is shortly going to be released as well. So what we've done with our products launches is we have a team or a group of our customers or influential customers, and
Yeah.
we sit down with them twice a year and say, what's going on in the market? How are you doing things? How can we help improve the situation
Hmm.
or what things need to be improved? And so what we do
Yeah.
is that, and we listen to them and we come out with a product. And I think that's been something that we implemented last year, over the past couple of years as well. So
No,
when we
excellent.
launch products, it's actually something that they need and not just something
Yeah.
that, that's just out there because we need to release
Supply and
new.
demand, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's supply and demand.
100%.
Tailoring it to your customers' needs is always the best way to go about it. Sometimes you see some amazing products be launched and the technology is unbelievable, but are they needed? Are they wanted? It's not always the case. You've got to do for what the market wants.
Right. Budgets are important, right? I mean, with the up and down swings. And so when we do put, money to a product, it has to perform, right? So
Yeah.
So what we're seeing, so we're hoping with the denture base, I think you'll see a need for what the market demanded. And then for opaque shade, I think you'll see what the market has demanded. And then
Yeah,
when the paper spinner comes out, I think that's going to really change the game when it comes to post processing.
excellent. And 3D printing is a space that you've been involved in for quite a while now. But
Yeah.
before that, obviously, you was in the wider dental space, previously in implants. How does 3D printing compare to that more generic dental space where it's implant focused or surgical focused?
I think so. Going back when I was with Neodent and Straumann Group, I
Hmm.
think, there was an innovative product that really changed and revolutionized the market,
Yeah.
right? It had huge growth. I think it was wonderful. It helped a lot of people get teeth at a very
Hmm.
competitive price with a really great product. I think, and then after that, you saw the past couple of years, I think there was more time. You probably know this more than I would, but probably 200 to 300 implant companies that came rushing into the United States,
Yeah.
right? And it was like, cheap, 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 right? Like
Yeah.
this is what it is. Why do you have a sales rep? All they do is, waste money. I saw the whole marketing direct doctor, the whole 9 yards, right? And so a lot of
Hmm.
people flocked towards that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they started coming back, right? You couldn't get the customer support that you needed, right? You couldn't get the quality. You're getting a lot of,
Yeah.
just a lot of problems in the chair with an implant performance, right? So then all of a
Hmm.
sudden started flocking back, to a reputable and a company that they knew, and it wasn't just price, right?
Yeah.
Transitioning that to 3D printing at the beginning, there was a multitude of companies, right? And then all of a sudden there was a lot of overseas printer companies that came in, right? Price,
Hmm.
price, price, price. Any resin you want to print, it's valid, done. Don't worry about it, right? Like figure it out
Hmm.
yourself. And that's where we saw a lot of shift over the past couple of years, right? And then
Yeah.
just like the implant space, they're not getting the customer service that they wanted. They're having down, failed printers. Now this is for the lab space, right? Not just
Yeah.
chair. Now you're seeing customers coming back that we've lost back to us because, ROI is important. It's not just a cheap printer or a cheap resin, right? It's
Yeah.
throughput, it's uptime, it's efficiencies, it's quality products that are validated, right? So
Hmm.
we're seeing the same dynamic in implants that we're seeing in 3D printing that we saw.
Yeah. Yeah, it shows us, and you often find when you get a product that's so good, like when 3D printing first came out, everyone wants to create one. Like you say, you get companies coming into North America from overseas, price focused, and maybe not focused on the customer journey. And then eventually it goes back to like you just said, and you've seen that in implants. I'm sure you'll see it in aligners. There seems to be a lot of aligner companies coming up at the moment. So that seems to be the next big one, I would say. And then obviously you've got AI, you've got technology that's all coming into play, digital workflows. How are you finding the current dental market at the moment? Is AI or those digital workflows affected Carbon at all, or are you implementing anything?
Yeah. So I think there's this struggle that we see, right? Where
Yeah.
with insurance companies and reimbursements rates, right? And doctors needing to make a profit on their chair time,
Hmm.
coincide with the lab, I need a better price or we need to go digital, right?
Yeah.
But this whole digital, buzzword, it's
Yeah.
doesn't always resonate well with the doctors because of maybe first gen resins, right? Or first gen
Yeah.
printer accuracy or breakages of product, right? So there's this constant struggle of everybody needs to go digital, but digital's hard to adopt, right? Is it
Yeah.
the doctor doing the scans or is it the assistant doing the scans? Has the assistant been there for 10 years or has he been there for 6 months and they're gonna quit, right? And so the emphasis is going digital is a better patient experience and it's a better ROI
Yeah.
here. But then it's real, implant companies are facing this, scanner companies are facing this. How do you
Yeah.
continue to adopt digital from a chair side to make it more effective and more efficient for the lab so you get a
Hmm.
overall better experience, better ROI, better product? So we're continuing to help. We do CE events all the time with our
Yeah.
partner where we offer CE for doctors, for a lab to
Hmm.
come in and talk about digital products. Doesn't
Yeah.
always just have to be carbon specific, right? It's just adopting digital, right? And we actually have a person that helps with digital adoption at the lab as well,
Hmm.
because you know this as well as I do, technicians are getting older, right? And so
Yeah.
I've had more conversations about how to implement AI and how to implement digital in our software
Yeah.
to help overcome these struggles with these technicians timing out, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
really what's going on. The digital adoption is going to continue. I think it's going to continue at a slower pace than what people, unless there's I always say, a compelling event to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen. Labs aren't just going to say, some labs say, I just do digital, right? And those
Yeah.
guys, heroes, but most of the lab is still, lab industry is still doing analog products as well.
I guess some people, there's the old saying is that why fix something that's not broke? Some people are reluctant to change when it still works for them. So it's hard, like you say, to sometimes help people adapt and move to digital. And for some people, it's not always what they want to do. So it's going to happen eventually, but it's going to take time.
Yeah, it's going to take time because, like I said, there's no compelling event. There's no urgency. Now, when that
Mhm.
removable technician or that removable manager puts in their 2 weeks and says, I'm retiring, well,
Yeah.
then they call us and say, how do I do this? What do I do? And can you guys help me? And we're
Yeah.
there for them 100%. But like you said, they're not really thinking that forward, that
Hmm.
forecasting, thinking ahead on their strategic initiatives
Hmm.
until it actually happens.
Yeah. And that's always the case, isn't it? It's always a reactive way rather than sometimes a proactive approach. You often see that.
Yeah, I mean, we're humans. We do it. I
Yeah,
can't blame
we're all the
I
same.
can't blame
We're
Brandan.
all the same. I think I would be the same as well in those scenarios, most likely. In terms of yourself, though, obviously you're now the head of dental for North America and on the lab side of things. How have you got to that position? Because you didn't start in a head or as in a leadership position. You'll have to work your way up. So how have you managed to do that, and how's your journey been?
I tell this to people that are looking for a job or whatever. I always
Yeah,
say it's your job to lose, or if you want a job, do the job before you actually get the title, right?
yeah,
And putting in the extra work and going above and beyond and showing
hmm,
not just, hey, I'm doing this from a short term perspective, but I'm doing this for
yeah,
the long term, and how can I help
hmm,
the company and not really even think about yourself. When you're
yeah,
in a good organization, you don't have to think about yourself. You do what the
yeah,
company needs and you're rewarded for it. Now, I've had somewhere it's not, right? But I think everywhere that I've gone, I've had to work from the bottom all the way up. I
hmm,
think as a leader, that's really important, to be honest with you.
agreed.
And the way that I approach things is I'm going to outwork, I'm going to be better than anybody there,
Hmm.
whether it's a sales deal, whether it's something here or something
Yeah.
there. It's I will outwork and I will outrun you. Period. That's it.
Excellent. And I think that's the hard work is always the way to get somewhere, isn't it? I think if you want to do well in anything, you've got to put the work in, no matter what that is, whether that's a sport, your work, whatever that might be, to be successful, it comes with working hard. And that obviously shows to be able to be in your position now in a leadership role, you've got to have worked hard to get there. How would you say your leadership style is like, and what do you think makes a good leader?
The way I approach things is very dynamic and
Hmm.
very organic. And I say those words not to just from a high level, but as I've been a
Yeah.
manager, I see that not everything is black and white, right? And not everybody performs at the same level, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's really approaching each person like a business unit and saying, what is this person good at? How is this person motivated?
Yeah.
How do I teach? How do I coach this person? And it is different for everybody, from your high performers, your A's, your B's, your C's, and honestly, how do you manage out your D's and F's? Right. And so I really come at it from, I had sports in my background. I played, the football in college, love sports. And I really look at it from a coach perspective. I
Yeah.
typically say, I'm going to pat you on your butt twice before I smack you on your butt. And that's how I overall approach things, where I'm in
Yeah.
it with you. There's nothing that I won't do, right? So you're side by side. You're not
Yeah.
in back and you're not in front of them, right? You're not
Yeah.
trying to get the credit. You're not trying to be a super rep, right? And that can be
Yeah.
hard for people that are trying to be in management and it's their first time. It's like,
Mhm.
how am I side by side with
Yeah.
my A's and B's and my C's, right? And I
Yeah.
think, and how can I make them better?
Yeah.
And working out a plan, working out a goal, and making sure that they hold themselves to those goals and objectives as well as the manager, right? I've learned in my long years of management, well, medium years, I would say, that it is ever changing. It is dynamic. It's awesome because when
Yeah.
you see people succeed, you as a manager should be happy and thrilled,
Of
right?
course.
Or even, somebody that's not performing and they start performing, right? It's not,
Hmm.
well, I did that, right? It's they did that. And I
Yeah.
think having that mentality and approach to your team and being in management, that holistic approach and that very
Hmm.
fluid approach is huge for anybody that's
Yeah,
wanting.
no, definitely. Because I think within sales, and obviously I come from a sales background as well, it's sometimes hard to transition into management from being a sales rep. Ultimately, when you're in sales and you're an individual, it's all about yourself. It's all about how you can do the best. So that when that you got to switch that over and look at how you can help other people, sometimes that can be challenging. Often some of the best salespeople don't make great managers because they're so focused on, well, this is how I would do it. How can't you do that? And like you said earlier, everyone works in a different way. Look at our office, for example, there's 20 people in our office, all work individually, separate ways, and the managers know how to get the best out of everyone. So it is a real challenge.
It is a challenge. I see a lot of people that are high performers and like, I want to get into management. And I
Yeah.
said, why? Right? Why? And they're like, well, that's my next step. Wrong answer, right? Like we know that, right? Like, no, there's plenty
Yeah.
of other steps, right? There's different things that we can give you. You know, on my teams, I've had multiple high performers that didn't want to be in management. And how do you keep them busy and keep them
Hmm.
driving for more, right? And that's not just compensation, but it's maybe more difficult
Yeah.
accounts, right? Or larger accounts, right? And working
Yeah.
there with more of a strategic side versus just a territory side. And then
Hmm.
you have some people that come in and they're great, they're fantastic. Like, I want to be in
Yeah.
management because I want to help people. Great. Do your job right. And then all of a sudden they start trying to be a manager before they even know what it's like to be a manager,
Yeah.
right? So, you get those people and dynamics, right? And so then
Hmm.
you deal with people that are ready for it. And these, like you said, they're far and few between, right?
Yeah.
The selfless aspect and personality of what it takes to be a manager, right? And
Hmm.
moving them in, not just, hey, here you go, here's North America, right? It's,
Yeah.
hey, here's the regional aspect of it. Or, hey, I
Yeah.
want you to do this and this, right? To get them primed to do that. So it is, when I was younger, I was like, I'm ready to go. Boom. I want to be a manager. Put me in. Right. And I was naive and I probably did some things that weren't correct. Right. And
Yeah.
so overly ambitious, overly frustrated. Looking back on it now in my time, I would say that I should have probably listened to my managers at the time.
I think you'll struggle to find someone that's in a leadership position that hasn't probably made the same mistakes, that when they're up and coming, they rush into it. Like you say, they're over enthusiastic, they're quick to make decisions, quick to try and impress, and don't listen enough. And listening's key. That's something that I've learned over speaking with so many high level people within the industry, that listening's the most important thing. That is the one key skill that you can get right.
Communication and listening is key. In your
Yeah.
personal aspects and goals, whether it's your wife, girlfriend,
Yeah.
child, or whether it's your professional life. If you don't
Yeah.
have both ears open, you're gonna miss the boat.
Yeah. And one thing you mentioned, you've got strategic and territory accounts. Now, obviously very different. I'm seeing a lot more across the whole industry of strategic accounts now becoming new roles. They're becoming a lot more popular. What do you think the reason for that is?
It's because of the consolidation period in this industry, whether it's clinical or whether it's lab. Private equity is coming in and they're buying up labs. And so now all of a sudden, what your large lab was that might be a territory managed account is now part of a 5, 10, 20,
Yeah.
30 patient DSO. We call them lab DSOs, right? And so
Yeah.
those qualify under strategic accounts. And that is how you handle that account now versus what you did in the past is now
Yeah.
completely different. Pricing, strategy, structure, how to continue to maintain. And that's
Yeah.
at a territory level way beyond somebody's, scope of what
Yeah.
they were hired to do and what they can do.
Hmm.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you couldn't do that later, right? But if you have somebody a year or two in the territory, and then all of a sudden,
Hmm.
we see this all the time. Large account goes to a DSO, right? How do you manage that? Like that's been a struggle, right? With most companies because now the
Yeah.
territory manager is losing their account, right? Could be in the middle of the year. How does that work? You will see more and more consolidation and more strategic roles opening up.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, I'm seeing it more and more so now. compared to a couple of years ago. There were few and far between, and now it feels that every company, the next role that they're looking for is someone that's going to work on that strategic account side, and it's becoming so important for the industry. In terms then of obviously your career, we mentioned you've maybe made some mistakes and learned from them. Is there anything that you would do differently throughout your career since doing it that you would look at and think maybe I'd change that, or is not that the case?
If I could go back, I think everybody would say that. Yeah, I would go back and
Yeah,
do things differently. I think I'll give you the good things that I did, and I'll probably tell
yeah,
you the bad things that I did, right? I'll be honest with you, I didn't start off in sales. I mean, my first job out of college, I was going to be a broker for, for securities, right? And I graduated in 2008. The market
hmm
tanked, and then I went in. I live in Austin, Texas, and I
yeah,
went into the oil field, and then the oil field tanked, right? And so I literally was a forklift driver. So forklift driver until I got into
hmm
sales at Medtronic. That's legitimately what I was doing
wow,
inventories, working blue collar, and I was fine with that. And then all of a sudden I got this opportunity to get into sales, and my manager goes, he literally says, "You have the gift of gab. You need to go into sales." And that's what really got me into my career in sales, and the rest is history. I think how I fell into medical sales is I worked at Medtronic, right? So they had a really good training program. So anybody out there that wants to get into sales, I would say
hmm
get into a really good company that has a really good training program. I
yeah,
think that is a baseline. You see a lot of recs open from not big companies, but it's got a pretty decent salary. And somebody's like, "Oh, I want to be a sales rep," right? But the territory's like half of the United States or a third of the United States. And if you don't have the ability or training to know what it
yeah.
takes to actually run something like that, you'll fail. I've seen it time and time.
Training is so important, particularly in the early stages of your sales career.
Yeah. So doing that and having a really good mentor. I think I've had two really good mentors in my life and my career. And so I think training, having a mentor, learning from them, I think is
hmm
absolutely well, that far outweighs any compensation that you're going to get at that time in your career
Yeah.
more than anything. Some of the things I didn't do well is I think any high performer would think very highly of themselves.
hmm
Um, and expect more than what I should, right? I think that even happened to me before sales, right?
Yeah.
I was overly ambitious and I thought I knew what I needed to know. And I went and I probably upset a lot of people, to be honest with you. And at the time, I was like, well, I don't care. I'm a high performer. This is what I
Yeah.
need to do. This is the next thing. Right. And it
hmm
was. And,
Yeah.
when you turn people off on yourself because you have this arrogant attitude, arrogance is fine in a structured, well thoughtful way. Right. Like you want to
Yeah.
be the salesperson and back it up. Right. But
hmm
not, hey, my career needs to go this way because I'm high performing, right? And that didn't necessarily work out. So
Yeah.
I ended up being a forklift driver. Okay. So I think that's something that you should do. You think of is, being patient is another thing, right?
Yeah.
And and really trusting your manager that they're going to put you in in the best position possible to be successful. I think that's something
Yeah.
that I should have done as well, and I didn't.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I was the same as you. You think that if you're a high performer, you're the best thing in the world, nothing's better. You continue to follow that path, and then eventually something will humble you or will bring you back down to earth. It happens, it will happen for everyone, and you learn those lessons. And sometimes it's good to make and learn those lessons, but if you can talk to someone and like you said, mentor someone away from making those, they'll just become so much better than themselves. And I think having a mentor is key, like you say, someone that you can lean on, someone that you can go to for advice and listen. Like we mentioned earlier, listening is so important for development. If you don't listen, you're never going to get better.
Right. Exactly. And more outside like my dad and my dad was very successful in his career, right? He was a mentor.
hmm
But it was somebody outside of my family that would give me a real reality check sometimes. I
Yeah,
think is very critical to do, right? And you want the mentor not to be dependent on your success also, right?
yeah,
Because some people will say what they need to say to get you to perform better, right? So
yeah. Oh, no, of course.
you could get more of an outside perspective on that, as a mentor. I think that would be huge, right? And so as I
Yeah,
got these mentors, I stopped making these, I would say, immature or novice or young
hmm
mistakes.
yeah,
So leaving companies because I didn't get the promotion, right? I think that's something that people struggle with a lot. Well, I'm not getting it here, so I'm going to go somewhere else,
Yeah.
which is fine, but make sure it's a real thoughtful process and not as selfish and arrogant.
Yeah.
You know, that probably some other mistakes that I did as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if you've got any tips for people starting out in their careers, but I think you've touched on it nicely about the training aspect. I think that is a real big thing for anyone that's young, or even not even young, but looking to get into sales or even the industry. It's about having that right background, that right company that's going to support you right, and then obviously from there you can grow.
Yeah, exactly. They go hand in hand. The learning, mistakes, and training go hand in hand.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't have one without.
absolutely. Excellent. Well, appreciate the time. It's been great. It's been wonderful to speak and go over everything. And I hope everyone that's going to listen enjoys.
Yeah, yeah, and absolutely. Anybody looking for any advice, I'm always here to help. Reach out to me, reach out to Tom. Happy to help and learn new people. And I appreciate it, Tom, for taking the time and having me on your podcast.
No problem. Take care.
All right, thanks.